What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Chin here again today from the Nothing But Facts podcast, episode 2. Today, we are talking about the Notre Dame quarterback battle won by CJ Carr. It was not a surprise to many, but if you were tuning into Notre Dame news, right, it seemed to be that this quarterback battle got late into camp and CJ Carr maybe pulled just a little bit away from Kenny Minchey. Today, we're going to dive into all of that, their wide receiver room, their schedule. We'll see how the new guy in South Bend, how he'll handle all of this, and we'll also see, hey, is this the long-term plan? Is CJ Carr the long-term plan? We'll go into all those. We'll see how the Spirit leads us. Let's jump right into it. So if you don't know, CJ Carr has been named the starter at Notre Dame. He's going to be their week 1 starter against Miami, a very important game for both teams. For Notre Dame, it's the team that was in the national championship last year, lost a lot of players, but they believe they've been recruiting. They've been getting guys from the transfer portal. They've been developing their players. They've been doing everything they have to do in-house to make sure that they're prepared for those type of games. So I think when you look at everything in its entirety and really look at the details, I'm looking forward to Notre Dame going on the road. I'm looking forward to how does Mike Denbrock, what does he call up? And also on the other side for Corey Heatherman, the Miami defensive coordinator, first year under Mario Cristobal. Miami had one of the worst pass defenses in the country last year, and it seemed like they went all in. They went ahead, got some players, and that game is going to be a test for whoever it is. CJ Carr, Kenny Minchey, Tyler Buckner. If Tyler Buckner gets some snaps, we'll see what happens. But let's jump right in. Let's talk about our guy, CJ Carr, who he is, where he came from, who his mommy is, who his daddy is, who his sister is. I'm joking about that. But no, CJ Carr, right? He was the highest rated recruit in the history of Notre Dame football. 4-star kid on some sites. He was a 5-star. Saline High School in Michigan, 2024 class, a really deep quarterback class. Julian Sain was a part of that class. So CJ Carr was the number 1 quarterback in the state of Michigan when he came out. All right, this guy was an ass. He was also, if some people might not know, he also is the grandson of former Michigan head coach Lloyd Carr. So for this guy to be at Michigan, for him to play high school football at Michigan, his grandfather was the head coach at Michigan. I'm sure he's been to Michigan football games. He's took visits there. And for you to go to Notre Dame, I mean, that is unprecedented. That doesn't happen. And he was like, you know what? I'm gonna take my chances and go to South Bend and see what happens. And when you look at what we see, the report, the scouting report on CJ Carr has been good, right? Cerebral player who likes to study the game, evident his sophomore year, good enough athlete to get around the pocket, escape the rush if needed, but running will not be a part of his major game. Very safe projection as a college starter based on maturity, approach, and skill set. Right. So there is no question about this dude's arm. Right. There was these are some of the throws he did in high school. I mean, he was letting that thing go. He was letting it go. He was letting it go. He was letting it rip. And I'm just showing what he did in high school. I'm not going to go into, the spring game and things like that. But I think when we saw what he came in with in high school, the tools that he had, the big arm, the size, all those things, I think a lot of Notre Dame fans were excited. They were excited about the potential of a guy who can finally come in, homegrown, recruited. We recruited him. We didn't get him from the transfer portal like Riley Leonard, like Jack Cohn, like Sam Hartman. We got our own. This is fresh blood. So the dude was talented. He still is. I don't know about, he is talented. He's still very talented, big arm. I think this is at Michigan, right? Like I say, he played Michigan high school football. So the dude is talented. But let's not forget. There's a dude right behind him in this battle. And last week there was some talk about Kenny Minchey. Kenny Minchey was right there behind him. Pope John Paul High School, Hendersonville, Tennessee. A 4-star recruit, 2023 class, really good class. Avery Johnson was part of that class. So it was a deep class. And he's right behind him, 6'1.5", 220 pounds. Think he's about maybe, let's just call it 230 now or 225, the right way in that Notre Dame football weight room. And this is the archetype that Mike Denbrock has worked with. Mike Denbrock is the Notre Dame offensive coordinator. He coached Jaden Daniels to a Heisman Trophy, right? Those are some of the things that we've seen. Mike Denbrock likes athletes. He likes quarterbacks who could extend plays, who can make, when things are going wrong in the pocket, he can escape, make plays down the field, use his feet to get the first down. And these are some of the things that we see in the scouting report. Displays good athleticism and mobility, extend plays inside and outside the pocket, quick twitch athlete with natural avoid and escapability, flashes excellent pocket instincts and awareness while keeping his eyes downfield, possesses a quick release and strong arm, capable of making every throw on the field. That's what we saw from Jaden Daniels at LSU when he won that Heisman Trophy. He was on another level. I'm not saying Kenny Minchie is Jaden Daniels, but I'm just saying from what we've known with Mike Denbrock, this is the type of players that he likes to use. These are the type of players that he likes to use. And we see it on his highlight tape. Coming out of high school, the dude was launching things. Bang. Line drive on the money. That's a dot to me. That's a dot to me. This dude has a nice release. Look at that release. Nice, very beautiful release. I think you're going to see Kenny Minchie this year. I think you're going to see Kenny Minchie sooner rather than later. I think that's what's going to happen. And again, I always throw this out there. I think there are a lot of different scenarios that we see where it's a guy who is slated to win the job and the coaching staff is like, maybe let's go with, we have 1A, 1B. Let's go with 1A. Let's give him a couple of snaps. Let's give him a couple of series, and let's see what happens. Right? This situations, these situations are very similar to what we saw when Blake Barnett came to Alabama. I remember that first game of the season when Alabama played USC in Dallas. It was an ass whooping, but I know that Blake Barnett was supposed to start that game. Blake Barnett was supposed to be the guy that took over realms, was supposed to be the guy after Jake Coker had left. There was a lot of questions surrounding the quarterback position. Blake Barnett was supposed to be that guy. And here comes Jalen Hurts out of nowhere. Here comes Jalen Hurts. Here comes Jalen Hurts doing any and everything he can. And I find that just very, very funny because I feel like we can see the same thing here. I think Kenny Minchie, 100%. This could be a bold take. This could be a hot take. I think he's going to end up being a starter before the season ends. That's just me. I think this is what Mike Denbrock likes to use. This is the type of players that Mike Denbrock wants in his system. And they have firepower. This wide receiver room has significantly improved from last year. And I don't want to say that like that's a shade to the receivers last year, but there's two guys on this list that that pop out. Major production. Malachi Fields from Virginia. Major production. 55 receptions, 800 yards, 5 touchdowns. Anthony Calandri, his quarterback, no longer at Virginia. He is at UNLV. So Virginia was, one of the not the best Power 5 teams, one of the poor Power 5 teams, but this guy was productive. You know who else was productive? Will Pauling, my guy from Wisconsin. Extremely productive receivers. Extremely productive receivers. And let's not even talk about the guys they have coming back, like Jordan Faison. Jordan Faison was a big part of this offense last year. 12 yards a catch. Jaden Greathouse as well had an amazing game in the national championship, had an amazing game in the Orange Bowl against Penn State. Big part of their offense. There are horses in a race now. I don't want y'all to think there's no horses in a race. KK Smith, a guy who they believe is going to, come along in this wide receiver room. So can I even forget Weapon X? How can I forget Weapon X? How can I forget Jeremiah Love? How can I forget the best back in college football? The most dynamic running back, I believe, in college football is on Notre Dame. How can I forget? So in my head, I'm thinking Mike Denbrock likes mobility. He likes those pocket. He likes those dual threat guys. I don't know if CJ Carr gives him that. And he doesn't have to, right? He doesn't have to because he has this wide receiver room. He doesn't need to be Mike Vick. He doesn't need to be Jalen Hurts. He doesn't need to be Marcus Mariota. He don't need to be none of that. He has playmakers right here. He has six guys that legitimately are legit guys. And of course, Ty Washington coming in from Arkansas too as well. I think that's a big body tight end. He's going to be a part of this tight end room. Jack Larson. And Eli Raridon. That's that tight end room for Notre Dame. So I'm happy to see what happens. Jadarian Price is too as well. Oh my goodness. Jadarian Price can start on any team in the country. Jadarian Price can start on any team in the country. You see the numbers right there. 6.5 yards per carry, 7 touchdowns. He can start on any team in the country. He can start on Bama. He can start on LSU. He can start on Michigan. He can start on USC. He can start on Ohio State. He can start on Clemson. He can start on Georgia. He can start on USC. I mean, where can he start? Where can Jadarian Price start? So this schedule for them, I think, is a big question. This schedule for them is a big question. You're going on the road against Miami. I think these first 4 games are going to be a true test into what this Notre Dame team is. We're going to have a real true understanding. Scratch that. These first 5 games, we're going to have a good understanding into what type of team Notre Dame is because they can easily come out this stretch 3-2. They can easily come out of this 5-game stretch 3-2. Worst case scenario, 2-3. That is worst case scenario. Miami, Corey Heatherman, new DC, Texas A&M, portal classes, Purdue, new head coach with Barry Odom, Arkansas, 53 new players in from the transfer portal. Boise State, I mean, they always play tough. You could come out this stretch 3-2 if you're Notre Dame. But I think with the guys they have, with the talent they have, and with this guy right here, you're not going to lose a lot of games. Especially with this guy right here, especially with him as the head coach, you're not going to lose a lot of games. I trust Marcus Freeman. I believe him and Mike Denbrock have a plan. And whatever happens this year, whatever happens game 1, I think they're going to look back at it and be happy with the decision that they made. This defense is really good. Their defense is absurd. Bryce Young, their defensive end, young defensive end coming. He's going to be a guy we hear his name about. We're going to hear his name. This dude right here, we're going to hear his name. We're going to hear him this year. Bryce Young, he's going to be a big play, a PTP primetime player this year. So this schedule sets up for them NC State, Southern Cal, Syracuse. I mean, I don't want to be a negative person, but I think Notre Dame has one of the toughest schedules one of the most underrated, toughest schedules in the country. It's not Florida. It's not Kentucky. It's not any of those, but this is a pretty competitive schedule. Every game is winnable, and every game is losable. So we'll see what happens. Excited to see what happens with CJ Carr and Notre Dame. Excited to see what happens week 1. Again, I think we're going to see both guys out there. I think we're going to see Kenny Minchey get some snaps. I think we're going to see CJ Carr take majority of the snaps. But my hot take, I think Kenny Minchey is going to be your guy by the end of the season. I think that's the archetype that Mike Denbrock likes to work with. The past is a predicament of the future. Jaden Daniels, size, dual threat quarterback. Same thing with Kenny Minchie. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much. Keep liking, keep commenting, keep sharing. Love you guys. God bless. Peace.